Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you love rare coins, unbelievable hidden values, and stories that turn ordinary pocket change into jaw-dropping treasures, you are absolutely in the right place. Today's video is all about one of the most mysterious and talked about Lincoln cents ever discovered, a coin that most people would overlook without a second glance, yet in the right condition and with the right errors, it has been linked to values as high as $776 million. Yes, you heard that right. We are diving deep into the 1975 1-cent USA coin, a penny that on the surface looks completely normal. But beneath that copper glow lies a world of minting mistakes, rare anomalies, and fascinating possibilities that have driven collectors wild for decades. When people think about valuable coins, they often imagine ancient gold pieces, pirate treasure, or rare silver dollars locked away in museums. Almost no one imagines a simple Lincoln penny minted in the 1970s, a time when pennies were common, mass-produced, and routinely tossed into jars, drawers, or lost between couch cushions. Yet history has proven time and time again that the most extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary places. The 1975 Lincoln cent is a perfect example of this truth. Millions were struck at the Denver Mint, and most are still worth just 1 cent. But a tiny fraction, those with extraordinary errors, mistakes, and mint mark irregularities, have become some of the most talked about coins in the numismatic world. To understand why this coin can reach such an unbelievable valuation, we need to step back into the mid-1970s. The United States Mint was operating at full speed, producing enormous quantities of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. Automation had improved, but it was far from perfect. Minting presses were under constant pressure, dies wore out quickly, and quality control was not always consistent. In an environment like this, errors were inevitable. Most errors were caught and destroyed, but some slipped through the cracks, entered circulation, and eventually found their way into the hands of collectors who recognized that something was very wrong in the most exciting way possible. The 1975 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The D mint mark signifies it was produced at the Denver Mint, which was known for high production numbers and, occasionally, dramatic minting mistakes. What makes this year especially intriguing is that several types of errors have been reported, studied, and fiercely debated among collectors. Some of these errors are well documented, while others are so rare that only a handful of examples are believed to exist, fueling speculation, rumors, and astonishing valuations. One of the most famous possibilities associated with the 1975 1 cent is the presence of dramatic double die errors. Double dies occur when the coin die receives more than one misaligned impression during the hubbing process. This causes parts of the design, such as lettering, numbers, or Lincoln's profile, to appear doubled. On certain 1975 cents, collectors have reported strong doubling on the date, the word liberty, and even the motto "I in God we trust." Unlike machine doubling, which is common and generally not valuable, true double die errors show clear separation, rounded edges, and consistent doubling across multiple design elements. When a strong double die is confirmed, the value of the coin can skyrocket from 1 cent to thousands, tens of thousands, or in extremely rare cases, far beyond. Another highly prized category of errors involves off-metal strikes. These occur when a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, or even a different metal composition altogether. During the 1970s, planchets for various coins were produced and transported in large quantities, and occasional mix-ups did happen. A 1975 penny struck on a bronze planchet of the wrong weight, or even on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, would be considered an extraordinary rarity. Such an error would immediately draw intense interest from collectors and auction houses, especially if the coin is well preserved and clearly authenticated. There is also significant fascination with transitional errors connected to metal composition. Although the famous shift from copper to zinc cents occurred in the early 1980s, experimentation and material testing were not uncommon at the Mint. Some collectors believe that a small number of 1975 pennies may have been struck on experimental or wrong composition planchets, resulting in unusual weight, color, and magnetic properties. If a genuine transitional or experimental strike were ever conclusively proven, it would represent a once-in-a-generation discovery, the kind of coin that museums compete to display and elite collectors fight to own. Mint mark errors add yet another layer of intrigue to the 1975 descent. The mint mark was punched into the die by hand during this era, which opened the door to numerous anomalies. Repunched mint marks, where the D appears doubled or shifted, are among the most sought-after varieties. Some examples show the mint mark tilted, stretched, or placed in an unusual position. In extreme cases, collectors have reported pennies with no visible mint mark at all, despite other indicators suggesting Denver origin. Such anomalies raise fascinating questions about die preparation, human error, and how these coins manage to escape detection. One of the most dramatic and visually striking errors associated with the 1975 D penny is the broad strike. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing the metal to spread outward. The result is a wider than normal coin with a distorted rim and expanded design. When combined with other errors, such as doubling or off-center strikes, a broad strike penny can become an astonishing showpiece. These coins are highly collectible because the error is immediately obvious, even to non-experts. Off-center strikes are another category that collectors love. These occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the press, resulting in part of the design being missing. The value of an off-center strike depends on how much of the design is visible, and whether key elements like the date and mint mark are still present. A dramatic off-center 1975 D penny that clearly shows the date and mint mark can command significant premiums, especially if the strike percentage is extreme and the coin is well preserved. Die cracks, die breaks, and cuds also play a role in the mystique of this coin. As dies wear out, cracks can form, transferring raised lines onto the coins they strike. In advanced stages, chunks of the die can break away, creating large raised blobs of metal known as cuds. Some 1975 D cents exhibit massive die breaks that dramatically alter the appearance of the coin. These errors provide a snapshot of the die's deterioration and are highly valued by specialists who study the life cycle of minting equipment. What truly pushes the 1975 D penny into legendary territory, however, is the speculation surrounding ultra-rare, possibly unique errors. Stories circulate among collectors about pennies with multiple simultaneous errors, such as double die obverse combined with off-metal strikes or extreme misalignments paired with dramatic die breaks. Coins like these are the stuff of numismatic legend. If a single, fully authenticated example with multiple major errors were to surface, it could redefine what collectors are willing to pay. The staggering valuation of $776 million is not something applied to the average 1975 D penny, and it is important to understand that clearly. This figure represents the theoretical upper limit associated with a perfect storm of rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. In the world of elite numismatics, prices are not always driven solely by metal content or age. They are driven by stories, uniqueness, and the emotional pull of owning something that no one else on earth possesses. Imagine a scenario where a 1975 D penny is discovered with a previously unknown error, one that challenges existing knowledge of mint procedures. Suppose this coin is authenticated by multiple leading experts, graded at the highest possible level, and confirmed to be the only known example. Add to that intense media attention, museum interest, and competition among billionaire collectors. In such a scenario, traditional price guides become irrelevant. The coin's value would be determined by what someone is willing to pay, not by past sales. Condition plays a massive role in all of this. A heavily worn error coin may still be valuable, but a pristine example in mint state condition can be exponentially more desirable. Coins that retain their original luster, sharp details, and minimal marks are especially prized. The difference between a circulated and an uncirculated example can mean the difference between thousands and millions. Authentication is another crucial factor. The coin market is flooded with altered coins, fakes, and misunderstandings.